Hey everybody, welcome back to We Are Podcast.
This is Camp Slash Horrorcast, Season 4, Episode 11, The Wicker Man.
If this is your first time checking out the podcast network, we appreciate it. Please head over to your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, or iTunes, and give We Are Podcast Network a like. And just a reminder, Camp Slash Horrorcast is a weekly live videocast available on Twitch and YouTube. We go live every Monday at 8 p.m. Central Time at twitch.tv/WeArePodcast Network and youtube.com/WeArePodcast Network. As the Camp Slash Horrorcast is live, I will not be editing the audio for this podcast, so what you saw live is what you get here. Please come watch the stream every Monday at 8 p.m. and if you want to see the previous streams, go check out our Twitch or YouTube channel. And for a full list of future films we'll be watching, please head over to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at /WeArePodcast. All links can be found in the description. And with that, on to the Horrorcast.
Camp Slash Horrorcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to Camp Slash Horrorcast. We talk horror movies from the past every Monday at 8 p.m. Central. I am your head camp counselor, Doc. We are here with other head counselors. We have Raph. Shocks are so much better absorbed when the knees are bent. Ramirez, Raph, how are you, sir?
Fantastic. What's up, guys?
What up, what up? Next, we got Miles. What religion can they possibly be learning? Jumping over bonfires. Francis, Miles, how are you, sir?
Heated, man. Heated from jumping over too many bonfires.
No doubt. Remember when you were a kid, you used to do that and you got older and you're like, nah, I'm not gonna do that.
I just didn't do it naked.
I haven't hit the age yet where I've decided it's that bad of an idea, I'll be honest.
Next, we got Jay, but they're naked. Summer McSiles fucks. Summer McSiles fucks. Hi, Jay. How are you?
Well, they certainly don't want to jump over those bonfires with their clothes on.
Yeah, you're right.
And finally, we got Alex. And what are the true God? He's dead. Can't complain, but he had his chance in modern parlance. He blew it. Rutan, as I said, I was going to say it. How do you say it again? Roughton. How do I get that so wrong? How are you, Alex?
I'm doing great. Can't wait to talk about The Wicker Man.
Fuck yeah, dude. Welcome to the podcast. Guys, we watched The Wicker Man, released in 1973, December 6th to be precise. Running time, 88 minutes with a budget of £500,000. Box office, $76,701. So it made a little bit of its money back. It didn't. All right, synopsis. A Puritan police sergeant arrives in the Scottish island village in search of a missing girl who the pagan locals claim never existed. Let's check out a trailer. All right, here we go. Okay, here we go. No, next one. Stupid.
That's a cool poster.
There we go. It is a cool poster.
No volume.
Oh, you can't hear it?
Nope.
No.
Shit. One moment, please.
Come on, Doc. This ain't your first rodeo.
Yeah.
Gold rigs and barley rigs.
No, don't do it.
Can you hear it now?
Yeah, corn rigs and barley rigs. That's all I fucking hear.
Not sure why it's the 70s synth like
Porno music. That's the 70s porno music.
Yeah, it's good to see that the deceptive trailer has always been a thing.
Absolutely.
They're still doing that. They're still doing that.
That's a deceptive movie.
You gotta trick the audience into going to see art films.
Bro, that was the scariest scene in the whole movie.
What?
Fucking clown.
You wouldn't want to go see this movie based upon the fact they're shoving frogs down people's throats?
Well, I gotta see it based on that.
Yeah, 100%. Dead bodies. This is giving away quite a bit in the movie, isn't
I was
it?
gonna say, are they gonna show that she was faking here? That's messed up,
Yep.
man. Like what a stupid reveal.
Hello.
Bro, you think that beetle got out of that desk?
No, that beetle never got out of that.
Yeah.
Never. All right, that's enough of that trailer.
Yeah,
Guys,
please, bro.
let's talk history with the movie. We never make it through a whole trailer. All right, let's start with you, Raph. Do you have any history with this, or you just watch this?
None whatsoever. Just saw it today.
All right.
Have mixed feelings about it.
All right, we'll talk it through here in a minute. Jay, this was your pick. What's your history with it?
It's gonna be a little long-winded, guys, but back in 1996, one of my best friends, Dale Livingston, rest in peace, worked at a movie, like a video store called 2 Day Video. And this place had some of the coolest fucking horror movies of all time. It had every Faces of Death. It had tons of the spaghetti slashers, and this is mid '90s. So like this place had a bunch of like a little off kilter kind of stuff. And I saw this one video. It was just the history of horror throughout the years. It was
Real
from
quick.
like the '80s.
Are you using that igloo mic, Jay? Can you push it away?
No, I'm not.
Okay, never mind.
I'm not.
Okay, so go ahead, back to it. I apologize.
Am I just too loud?
You're very, very loud. You're peaking. It's fine.
I can fix it.
We'll deal with it.
Anyway, so yeah. So anyway, so we got this one video which was more of a history of horror, and it went through a bunch of different decades. And one of the things it went through was the folk explosion of the 1970s, and it showed the maypole scene, a few other things, and it showed the finale, which we already know. And I was like, well, that's pretty trippy. And then about 6 or 7 months later, I actually rented the actual Wicker Man, and I fucking loved it. And I've probably seen it 10 or 20 times, and I even somewhat like the Nicolas Cage, just because I love the fact that they actually remade the Wicker Man. I think that's a real sign how much the original was respected. So yeah, I got a lot of history with Wicker Man, a lot of it.
Very nice. Very nice. It sounds like you got a hold of one of those David Jessup tapes he used to make when he was tripping acid. Like, just put some movies and like put it together. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely. So it was like it would of course it would start with silent movies and whatnot, and it talked about monster movies with them and Godzilla, and then Psycho in the '60s, and then it just talked about the whole hippie movement. And then if there's one thing, this movie is just filled with hippie nuances and psychedelics, and this movie fucks.
Yes, it
really
does.
fucks.
Literally. Sex, and then a little bit of titties. Miles, you got history with this?
I'm a lot closer with Raph than I with Jay on this one, man. Like I saw the Nick Cage version when it first came out, and I thought it was absolute garbage. I watched this for the first time today, and of all the movies I've watched on acid for this podcast, this is the one that I should have watched on acid. I probably would have enjoyed it so much more. I admittedly did get a little bored. I thought that it was just very weird pacing. I was unexpected. I was very thrown off by just like the random song numbers. Again, on drugs, I think I would recommend this movie. In my current mindset, I was just kind of like, all right, well, this is a way to spend an hour and a half.
Does this classify as a musical?
Yes,
Damn,
I think it does.
bro.
Fuck yeah. The fact is that the band for this, it's called Magnet, literally was a band that was brought together to only do this soundtrack, and they never did anything else after.
Whoa.
Then on top of that, they brought them in. They didn't know they were going to have to film their parts in the movie, so they're just like, "Yeah, you guys got to come in on this date and lip sync it."
I could see if you
That's
have
why-
oh, good.
Oh, that's why it feels so like separated from the rest of the movie too. I was wondering about that. Those scenes that Magnet or that the singers are in, it feels like
Like
they
a
just shot
music
that in a-
video.
Yeah, like they shot that an entirely different day or like on like a month or something like that.
Some of it almost felt like a commercial, like how like you'll like
Yeah.
be walking through and like somebody will just
Yeah.
break out into song about like
Yeah.
Folgers or whatever.
Or like an old Benny Hinn episode. Like it felt like they were doing bits and whatnot. Yeah, like Paul Giovanni, he's the lead singer, and he's the one you see there who's singing and just looks absolutely bored. He looks like a stereotypical like 80s or 90s bored singer in a video. But
He looks drunk.
It just works, man. It just worked for me.
I could definitely see if you had love for this movie from like childhood, like you talked about watching it with your friend in the 90s. And like, I can see if you saw it early enough and like it made an impression, but like I've seen Midsummer, bro. Like that's a way better movie. If I were going to go back and rewatch it at this point, I just watched Midsummer.
I will humbly disagree.
We'll
That's
get
fair.
into it. Let's finish with our histories. Alex, you have history with this. You love this movie, right?
Well, I do love this movie, but I actually didn't see this movie until I was like in my early 20s. And the first thing I saw, just like Miles, is I saw the Nicolas Cage Wicker Man first when I was like 11 years old. And I didn't see the original one until like 10 years later. So, but I mean, I fell in love with it. My biggest complaint about this movie, though, is that it's only an hour and a half and it drags so much towards the end. Like, I feel like it feels longer than an hour and a half. And I just watched it like 2 hours ago, just a refresh on it, and same opinion. It just drags so much in that last act.
Yeah, it does. But at the same time, I think that's part of it. It makes it better because once the reveal of the Wicker Man happens,
It drives you nuts.
There's just not enough people busting out into random songs in the third.
they need more like
Yeah.
we're going to the Wicker Man, the Wicker Man.
Yeah,
Burn, baby, burn.
Yeah,
Disco
burn, baby,
Inferno.
burn.
that payoff is worth the wait for sure. Even though, I mean, again, it's only an hour and a half. Hour and a half long movies usually don't feel this long to me, and for some reason that third act just drags so much.
It was made in 1973, bro. You got to give it a little bit of slack. Like they couldn't have done a huge car chase at the end of it. You know what I mean? Like
I wish
And
they
that-
would
and that-
have.
I want to see Michael Bay's remake of this film. See what happens. That's probably the
I-
Cage version.
Explosion.
I think that. Oh well, I towards the end I have a funny anecdote about the Nick Cage version, but the thing is, like, for this movie in the beginning, I also have like history of some of the characters. I watched The Equalizer back in the '80s, and if y'all don't know, if y'all seen the Denzel Washington movie, The Equalizer,
Yeah, of course.
any of you?
No. No.
Well, anyway, that's a remake of a TV show, and the guy who played the original Equalizer was Edward Woodward, Sergeant Howie.
yeah.
So he's a really established actor, and of course, you got Christopher Lee, man. I mean, Christopher Lee makes every movie he's in better.
And he
did
was
his
really
voice.
he was solid in this. He was the most
Yeah.
enjoyable part of the film.
He did it for free,
Yeah,
and on
that's
top
wild.
of doing this movie for free, he has got on record saying that this is his absolute favorite role of all time.
Hey,
That's
Miles,
pretty
I
high
think there
praise
were-
from Christopher Lee.
There were more enjoyable things than his fucking presence.
See, dude, no, I'm gonna counter that, dude. Even the nudity in this movie was boring by comparison to this.
No,
Yeah,
what?
Oh, you guys are what? You guys are into like
Orgy
70s
outside of the
Bush and
tavern?
whatnot.
Yeah,
Well,
bro,
but-
I'm a big fan.
But I think that your opinion is, however, swayed, being 30 years into a world where nudity is literally at your fingertips. For 1973,
100%.
This movie-
I agree.
this movie is about as avant-garde as you can get for
Yeah, hell yeah.
1973.
Hell
Again,
This-
if I had
this-
seen it as a kid, if I had seen it in the 80s or 90s at any point, like when I'd watched it when I watched most horror movies, I had probably
Right.
been like, "Yeah, dude, I love Wicker
Yeah.
Man." But
See, that-
you know,
And so
they,
that's
they
why
were
I
nice,
actually
they
give
were
it.
nice tits. It was fine.
One thing I definitely try to do with movies, and I'm not faulting anyone for however they see them, but like even back then when I was 15, 16 years old and I saw this movie, I like to see movies like I am in that time period. So when I see those movies, I like, how would I have been like a 16-year-old in 1973 watching this? I would have been like, I would have been watching this with the volume down, hoping my parents don't walk in, because I mean it's borderline just pornography to some
sure.
extent.
But
But-
if I had to
Yeah.
pretend I was watching this in 1973, I'd have to watch it from like inside my dad's testicles. I don't know if that's gonna
Fair enough. But I also like the fact that being in America, which for lack of a better word, a lot of times is considered a quote unquote Christian country, and so it's a really cool mind bend to go somewhere where Christianity is oppressive while also very much in the minority. And so I think that dichotomy with the land of Summer Isle, I think that just made it very fresh. I just thought it was a very refreshing movie. Plus anything folky, like folk in general is just so I still don't think there's enough horror movies that are folk induced. They actually have a folk collection on Shudder right now, which I highly recommend. But it's still not even tapped. It's still not even tapped now in 2020s. I think it's one of the last frontiers of horror that we could really go places with.
Yes.
I know one thing. I'd tap that ass on that.
Funny,
Sure.
Funny story about that ass raft. That was actually a double. Her fronts, when you see her like top,
When she's
like,
dancing, that was crazy.
when she's back, that was actually a double. And Britt Eklund, that actress, was actually very upset because she said her ass is too big. And I'm like, well, finally a movie that Javi would appreciate. He's not here to enjoy it.
Yeah. The fucking ass was huge. All right, I didn't get to do my history real quick. I saw this movie when I was 23 years old. I was drinking. I was very sick. I had a cold. I was drinking a hot toddy. I kept refilling it with whiskey and the tea, and just sat back and enjoyed the hell out of this. It was very relaxing. I was very stoned. I was very sick, and that was the only time I've ever seen it before. But I loved it. It was a great experience. I just thought it was a great fucking movie. The music did throw me off, though. The fact that, like, now that I'm used to the idea that they're going to sing, but at first when they started singing, I'm like, what the fuck are we watching? Like, what did I put in? And then this time watching it, it fits so well. I think the music makes this movie in so many ways. It makes the atmosphere. It makes it feel even creepier. You guys said it was kind of like a commercial. It shows how detached they are from reality of most realities, what we consider reality within, let's face it, a Christian funnel, I guess, because a lot of us were probably raised within Christianity. And so whenever they're giving into their pagan beliefs and doing pagan things such as dancing nude around the Stonehenge, you know,
or singing about sharing the landlord's daughter.
Oh, fucking amazing. And she's right there. I thought that was awesome.
Right in front of the landlord too.
And she was like, it's fine. And he was like, it's fine.
He was just like,
He was.
Yes. Pass my daughter around.
Yes. Have fun with my daughter. Have fun with my daughter.
Enjoying this episode? Go check out Geekster, a dating and friends app for geeks that focuses on common interests as a way to make meaningful connections. Download today on the App Store or click the link in the description to find out more. Geekster, this is what happens when nerds collide. Geekster, available on iOS and Android.
Well, one thing I really like about their religion is that they felt so comfortable with it. And that's where I thought the acting was really good, where it didn't look like they were ashamed or anything. And that's one of the pillars that Lord Summerall is making fun of Howie about. He's like, you embrace a religion that's about guilt and hate and all that stuff. It's like, we love you, we love ourselves. You're mad at us for it.
Jay,
but
you're an actor. If you're an actor and they tell you that you have to act natural while you're fucking this girl, you're not gonna act nervous. You're gonna act natural.
Well, I'm saying acting. I and especially for such a shoestring budget, and like it just looked like this movie just looked like everyone was having the time of their life.
And nobody got paid. Everyone did it for free, basically. Even Christopher Lee, he paid to go out and promote this movie afterwards. He considered this until his death the greatest movie he ever did.
Yeah,
I mean, Christopher Lee, he had 300 movies to his credit.
I can't say I disagree too. This is my favorite Christopher Lee movie of all time. Out of all the Dracula movies he's done, this is the best one.
Yeah.
Well, I've already talked some trash about the movie itself. I will say I do love the idea of like the religious cult, like as the main source of the antagonist in a movie, basically. Like I feel like this is far more likely to happen than like a monster under your bed or like an alien invasion or something. Like I can easily see an island of people worshiping something to the point where they're like, yeah, we could kill a child a year, or
it's happened with American cults before.
For sure. Yeah. It's something that's absolutely just straight out of our history books, but I could easily still see happening again.
What's so weird? Sorry, go ahead, Jay.
No, I'm sorry. No, you're good. I was just that island. That's a real island in Scotland. I don't know if it's called Summer Isle, but that is 100% shot.
It's called the Epstein Isle.
I had read that one of the actors actually went back to the island like decades after the film was shot, and they actually still saw like a makeshift cross that like they had made during the film by just crossing like two boards over each other. And that island is so just remote that it was still like completely undisturbed.
Well, the legs of the Wicker Man were there for 30 plus years. And then somebody on a 4-wheeler stole them, which is so random. I was going to say, talking about the Christians versus the pagans, when I watched this when I was younger, very still in that Christian train of thought, where I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they're sacrificing this guy, these evil people. And now that I'm older, I'm more in the pagan train of thought, where I was watching it almost like rooting for the pagans. Like, you guys are kind of killing this right now. Like, I kind of get it.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
Fuck that backwards Christian
dude. What is this boring shit? They're fucking in the fields. This is what I'm talking about.
The whole movie, their culture, dude. Let it, get rid of them.
The whole movie is just the stuffy Christian guy comes in and fucks up the party, basically.
No abortions for anyone. It's,
He's got his Bible
What-
and he's
what are
telling
you-
everyone how to have fun.
Oh, dude, what are you fucking on this island? You can't do that.
Well, even to the point where he's a Christ-like figure in some ways. I mean, he's burned on the cross, basically.
Absolutely.
Martyred.
He at one point goes up to that tomb and he knocks the shit over, almost like Jesus toppling the tables. You know what I mean? There's a lot of allegory to like him being a Christ-like figure, which happens in a lot of writing and movies and stuff like that. But I thought that was
and he's no pussy. He's definitely no pussy. Like Howie being one person against this whole island, I think he showed a lot of bravery.
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
he's also arrogant, and that's his downfall because he feels like his
agree.
power is
It's
our
on,
most
point
cops.
with Christians, though. Let's be real.
And with cops.
that too. His arrogance
double
is
downing.
it's his Achilles heel. It gets the best of him at the end of it because every time he's like, "Well, we'll bring the cops over here and they'll get you." And I'm like, "What? Who's coming
They
with
just
you,
laugh.
dude? You showed up in a fucking plane.
You're
What are you
lucky they
talking
came
about?
out and got you with a dinghy, or you'd still
Yeah.
be stuck
Can
in
you
the middle
get
of
the
the lake.
dinghy, please? Can you get the dinghy, please?
Diggy, please. One diggy.
All right, so
One diggy for me,
is
mate.
the beetle him? Is the beetle supposed to be him? Like they say
Absolutely.
run
Yeah.
around and
Yes.
go-
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I was wondering. Also, Summer Owl's house is fucking huge. What is going on there?
Castle?
Dude? Yeah, dude. It's definitely a castle. I was like,
Well, it's Daddy's home.
it was
Yeah, it's
so
his island.
beautiful. It was so beautiful when it was filmed. I was
great-granddaddy.
like shocked by how beautiful it was. Like, there's a couple shots in this movie that are absolutely gorgeous, but that was one of them when they filmed the house. I was like, wow, that's really impressive. Does the movie drag? Yes, it does, especially in the
Yes.
third act whenever they're
Mhm.
doing chase scenes and they're fucking with him. But I think the whole movie is them fucking with him, and it's kind of wonderful to see because he thinks he's smarter than everyone on that island, and even the children are smarter than him.
And they're
Even
always
the
one
guy-
step ahead of them.
Oh,
Yeah.
And the guy at the end says, like, we've been controlling every move you've made since the moment you got on the island. And like, yeah, there was some beauty in that for sure.
Mhm.
They didn't have to show the landlord tied up like 4 times though.
yeah.
They
Yeah,
kept
I
going
know.
to him. I'm like,
thought that
"You
too.
fucking heard."
It's a
Yeah, yeah.
misdirect though, is what it is. It's to reassure you he hasn't got out, he hasn't warned them, blah
I
blah
don't
blah.
know.
It's one of those things where it needs to be there to kind of show that they've always had him under their thumb at all times, and that's what's going on. We talked about the songs. What's the anecdote about the Nick Cage version, Jay?
Oh, it's more of a mashup for an ending. I mean, it's fucking wild. All right, so as y'all know, he suffers a very similar fate to Sergeant Howie in this movie, where he gets burned up. But he's also a motorcycle cop, right? And so Ghost Rider came out like 6 or 7 months after this movie, and so I still want to do it. I think we could do it. I wanted to do an edited mashup where at the end of Wicker Man, when he's getting burnt up, it shows him rise with that flaming skull, and he just fucks up the whole island. And I think,
That'd be
and with Muse's Knights of Sidonia, which is a song that came out right around when that Wicker Man came out, with that playing in the background, he's like, "No one's gonna take," and he's just fucking. I mean, I was very high when I thought of this, but man, I think it could happen.
Dude, I
David
already like this
Jessup,
better
get
than
on
Ghost
it.
Rider 2.
Yeah, me too, absolutely.
All right, let's go back to the nudity not being tight. You were wrong. This nudity is tight. This
Totally
is
tight.
70s
Do you
tits.
guys know that
Oh my
Pornhub
God.
exists?
Yeah, bro.
Like, are
No,
you
no, no,
aware
no,
Yeah,
no.
that
it doesn't matter. It
It
doesn't
caught me
matter.
off guard. I did not
There's
expect
beauty
an
in
orgy.
simplicity.
Listen,
30
nothing
minutes in it,
compared.
I did not expect an orgy. I was like, what the fuck? They were all fucking out there, and
They
they're
were all
really
fucking.
into
I can
it.
pull up 14 orgies on my phone on the first
If they-
page of my search. Right now. It's not that big
If
of
they
a
did
deal.
it for free.
That's fine.
It's amazing acting. Amazing acting.
Yeah, but
Michael
nothing's
Bay
gonna.
movies and indie art films can exist in the same universe. I can still appreciate both. I could appreciate
Again,
hardcore
I
pornography
do
and
appreciate
the
it. Don't
small.
get me wrong. It's just
Great.
it's not something that I'd go out of my way. Or it's like, oh man, you know what I need to see is some tits right now. Better get my copy
No,
of
and-
Wicker Man.
I don't watch Wicker Man for the tits, but whenever you're reminded they're there, it's nice.
No, that's 70 tits. That's like where it's at. Like that, it doesn't get any better than that. Like there's something about the way the curvature was with the nipple. I don't know. It was
That's fair.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
those are oddly very 70s tits. I wonder if most of them are fake.
She was in Golden. She was in a.
Guys,
yeah,
they're
she's a Bond girl.
models of
She's a Bond
cars.
girl.
All right, we shouldn't be talking about them. It's like,
No, they are though. They were made different then.
Man, I like the 80s Mustang
What do you-
so much
what do you-
more than the 70s Mustang.
What do you think those were? 1974, 75?
Well, she was born in 1942, so she was just a little over 30 when she did it.
She's in the GILF category now.
And still hot. She's in the great GILF category at this point.
Yeah.
No. I thought the nudity was fun. This movie is such a slow burn, but I think as a cohesive piece, it works. Like even watching it today, it worked for me. Raph and Miles, what was it about it that didn't work for you? Was it the pacing, or was it just
Pacing for me was probably the biggest part. Honestly, I'll be real. I'm enjoying this discussion of the movie more than I enjoyed any part of the movie. Like it's one of those things that I love the concept. I love the idea. I like the acting. I don't really know where exactly it fell apart. It was just so, I think, just off the wall and random at times. And I wasn't necessarily expecting that. So maybe it was just my mindset more than anything, because I was going in with the knowledge of the Nick Cage film. And those are two very different animals.
right?
The Nick Cage movie is more like jump scare, and like dark vibes.
Well, Miles, to answer your question, I think what you just described is how they want you to feel. Like all this stuff is just bonkers and nonsensical, and then by the end of it, you realize how it all came together and how every little thing had its place. Why
you're saying they were controlling me from the very beginning, Jay?
To watch it.
You stepped onto the
This
island.
was our plan to bring somebody who loved The Simpsons and will. I'm just kidding. Didn't they do a Wicker Man? Did they ever have Wicker Man and The Simpsons? That'd be a fun.
That's they've done a parody. But I mean, they take the sergeant character. He's a proxy for what most people are going to think. It was a statement on religion in Britain and suppression of sexuality at the time. And so most people going in this movie are going to put themselves in the avatar of the sergeant character, of the police officer. But at the same time, like I said, now watching it, I'm more on the pagan side, where I'm kind of like enjoying the festivities and the fun and the wearing the mask and all that stuff. Go ahead, Alex.
Another fun hindsight thing is, this is my own personal thing, is when you listen to the police officer's like rant at the end, where he says it's all just going to fall in on them. You know, the next one's going to fail. It's kind of like a look back on the hippie movement and how it died after 1969, and how, like, you know, the new, like, more fun sexual people, their movement kind of died out because they didn't try hard enough. Instead, they put their they put their like everything on the back of like esoteric beliefs and, you know, drug use and, you know, sexualism, as opposed to, like, you know, doing it themselves. Just a little fun thought I had while watching the movie.
I like The Simpsons did do a parody. I'm guessing that's probably a Treehouse of Horror that they did it on.
They sure did.
Yeah, the Nick Cage Wicker Man.
Yeah,
not the real deal, but whatever. I get it.
You know,
have you seen the Irishman with Eddie Griffin? The Irishman, no, with Eddie Griffin. It's a new one on Netflix, and it starts just like this. He gets off on a fucking boat on some island, and it's just so fucking hilarious.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, never mind. I thought somebody had watched it. But look, where I lost interest in this movie was in the third act. It was fucking dragging on too long. When he started chasing around, I thought that was pointless, but they were trying to signify that he was the Beetle right there, just going in circles.
Right.
And then the ending, look, I was on and off the whole movie. I did not like the singing at all. The fucking end is what brought me back. I was like, no way this is the whole time. I was like, no way this is happening. And I clicked on the time, and there was 2 minutes left. I'm like, no way this is happening. I was like, is this so it brought me back at the end. But other than that, it was really slow paced.
Yeah,
that's all I gotta say.
Well, my biggest problem with the pacing was that, like most movies in the last act, you expect things to like escalate. You know, like the pacing picks up a little bit, the music picks up a little bit, things get a little more intense. With the Wicker Man, the first, second, and third act all just seem to be the same pace until you get the big reveal of the Wicker Man and he gets burnt to death, and, you know, that's obviously the huge payoff. That's totally worth it. But like that third act is just as quick as the first and second act, and I think that's the problem.
The actor did not see the Wicker Man until the scene actually he came over with Horizon when he was acting. So his reaction of "Oh God, oh Jesus, help me" is half him, half acting. But it's
That's pretty
mostly him.
badass.
And
That's
like
cool.
that look on his face is like very realistic. And like they kept saying, "Do you want to see it? Do you want to see it?" He kept saying, "No, I want to see it on the day." So I think that's pretty cool. Let's go with the inverse real quick. Jay and Alex, what about this movie sticks with you and makes you really want to watch it over and over and over again?
You want to go first, Jay?
Oh, you go ahead, Alex. Go nuts.
Okay. I mean, the cinematography. I am a sucker for cinematography. I love the colors. I mean, at the beginning of the movie, when he's walking around and they're really like the camera's kind of focused in on him and the flowers at the same time. The fact that it's daylight the whole time and you feel safe, but like there's something off. I mean, Midsummer does that. The most recent movie, a more recent movie, Men, does that. I love the acting. I mean, I love the story behind this movie. I feel like it's kind of bigger than the movie itself, and I love that. But like I said, this is my favorite Christopher Lee movie. I think this is also one of those movies that's just so legendary. It's kind of hard to not know about it, even if you haven't seen it. You know what I mean? That's what does it for me.
Absolutely. How about you, Jay?
Well, for one thing, what everyone's not liking about the movie is what I think is its biggest strength is its pacing, because a lot of movies, whenever a movie gives you anything, it loses its power. That's just the way I think film works in a lot of ways, and this movie does such a good job of slowly showing you something and then taking it away, and slowly showing you something and taking it away. Constantly, to the point where it is frustrating. It is absolutely frustrating. But at the same time, the subject matter of him
You start
trying to
feeling like
find
the cop.
No, here's the thing. The movie frustrates you. When you're frustrated watching this movie, you are Sergeant Howard.
Yeah.
Like the way y'all are describing it, like I didn't want to say it until now. Like that's exactly what the movie wants you to do. Like the movie really is kind of like a puppet master in that it makes you feel a certain type of way. And the other thing I really like was the use of music, and I'll give you the biggest example of that is that in the very beginning of the movie, he's in mass, right? And so they're singing their hymns and they're doing all that. And so when he's flying, you hear hymnal music, but then as soon as he basically gets right over Summerall, it drops with the corn rings, and now you know you're in a different world. That's what I'm telling you. Like, but it's unnerving. That's the whole point. The movie is meant to upset. Like it really is. It's meant to make you think. And that's one of the things that I think makes it such a legacy picture is that it absolutely makes you think. And even so, like, and one of the coolest things I liked is, first time I saw this movie was before I got into church myself, but I felt like it handled both religions with a certain type of respect so that it wasn't like one was at the mercy of the other. So that's what I mean. But even in his dying, even when he's dying, they still let him have that monologue inside the Wicker Man where he's still talking to God.
Yeah.
Well, I think that shows a lot of strength.
Died.
I think,
but in his mind, he didn't. He lived life eternal. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't insult another religion.
They both got what they wanted at the end of the day.
Exactly.
They got the sacrifice.
Right.
He got his religious regeneration or whatever. Rebirth. I like what you said. Go ahead, Raph.
My emotions did go up and down like my penis did.
All that nudity.
This movie will get you there.
Yeah, I appreciate me a good horny movie.
Guys, it's
Pornhub.com.
Just Pornhub.com.
Listen, man, I can also watch Boogie Nights.
Porn rigs and...
So I like what Alex said about the daylight. There is such a thing as daylight horror, where all the horror happens because we feel safe in the daylight. It's at the night the monsters come out and they creep and they live under the bed and in the closet and wherever else. But in the daylight, you're safe, not in these kind of movies. And I wasn't
scared though. I was just irritated. And I was just saying, hurry the fuck up, or I was like, find something that's gonna help.
That's fair. For me, the suspense worked because I bought into the mystery and the misdirect of finding Rowan, because over and over again he was like, I gotta find her, and he was dedicated to his cause. And at the end of it, whenever she twisted it on him, when she turned her back on him, she said, did I do good? And her mother says, yes, you did good. that was heartbreaking to me. Like, you were trying to do the right thing. No good deed goes unpunished. And that's what happens with this. He didn't do anything wrong. The only thing he did was he was playing with a snake when he thought he was playing with an arm.
Can you guys imagine how many cops they got before him that got laid?
I wonder if the Nick Cage movie is a sequel. I was thinking about that earlier. Like, it could work within the reality of being a straight sequel.
Duck, I can answer that question in a bit.
Answer it now. Go ahead.
Yeah, you Jay with the teasing.
Yeah, you got me on the hook here, man.
This is an orgy, baby. Let it out.
Well, I mean, for one thing, I mean the Nick Cage movie takes place in America, so it's obviously, I don't consider it a spiritual sequel. There is an actual spiritual sequel to this movie.
Word? What is it called?
And it's directed by the same guy, and it's very much in this whole universe, and it's called The Wicker Tree. And it came out in 2011. The story, I can give you the storyline of that. This is something that is very near and dear to my heart, because this movie came out in like 2000, I want to say 2010 or 2011, and it's about these Christian musical artists who go over to another island very similar to Summer Isle, and they're trying to preach, but they're actually being invited to evangelize this island that has a lot of similar types of different rituals and whatnot. And one's called the laddie, and the laddie ritual is where this guy is groomed and he's chased by all the elite like a fox hunt. It's like a human fox hunt, and so the male is actually the laddie. It was actually supposed to be a pretty decent movie with Sean Astin in the role, but he didn't take it. And I will admittedly say, Wicker Man, I think, is a masterpiece. Wicker Tree is much more schlock, a lot more schlock. It's just a poor production value, but I still love it, and it's a really fun little spiritual sequel with a name like The Wicker Tree. The truth be told, there were supposed to be 3 movies in this trilogy, and in the second movie, it doesn't completely go all the way of the quote unquote the pagans. And then there's a third movie, but the director died. And the third movie was called Wrath of the Gods. You can look this up on Wikipedia. And then the third movie, it's where the pagans finally get their comeuppance. It's literally like almost like Star Wars from the Wicker Man's standpoint.
Shit,
that's cool.
So it's deep.
That sounds pretty good. I would have loved for that to happen.
Yeah,
maybe we'll get lucky and make like a prequel trilogy soon. We'll be able to check that.
I'm sure some idea bankrupt studio will pick that up eventually and butcher it.
I do have a Star Wars comment. The lady had the Princess Leia hair.
You mean Princess Leia had her hair because this movie came out 4 years earlier?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Boom.
That was crazy.
Boom. I will say there's that one character who is the bookkeeper of the records of the marriage certificate and death certificates. She wanted him. She kept giving him sexy eyes. Like every time
she was gonna fuck that whole ritual up, dude. He was gonna be a virgin.
He busts in that room and she's in the tub and she's like, "Ooh, hi." But
he was a strong Christian man and she had never met one before.
They kept trying to let him out of it. Like they kept trying to give him like, "Go home, leave, get out of here." Yeah. And then whenever she was trying to seduce him, like she was like the Willow character, the landlord's daughter, was trying to seduce him. If he wouldn't have been a virgin, he would have lost his.
Guys, just the moral of this story is think with your dick. That's all you gotta do.
And this
stay safe out there, gentlemen.
You don't burn a giant phallic symbol then you're
I was wondering about that during my last view of this a few hours ago. Was why did they keep tempting him? Was this like I thought it was more to like make sure that he was the right one, to make sure that he was the one valiant enough to
testing
turn
the value
down.
of the sacrifice.
Right. That's exactly what it was. That's exactly. You nailed it.
But once
they wanted this.
He's Jesus in the desert. He's being tempted by Satan.
Yeah,
and that's what it is. But you're right. Yes. There are testing the fruitfulness of this sacrifice. You're right. I never even thought about that. This movie's great. I apologize. I really like it.
Layers, man. This movie has layers, and it's more than it's more than just its pacing and its runtime. I mean, that's a small complaint. I mean, this is movie. If I had to put it on a 1 out of 10 scale, it's an 8 or 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
easy.
I think it's 6 with people.
Wow,
easy.
Raph, you got a list, Raph?
Yeah, the pickled foreskins.
I
That shit
paused
was
that,
metal.
showed that to my girlfriend. I was like, look.
That whole
I
pharmacy, they had a fucking
could
Siamese
mess up.
twin lamb and some formaldehyde that smelled bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
Bro,
that whole
they
place
had
was so metal.
everything.
The foreskins, I wonder if it was like a candy shop when you just pull them out and eat them. I was like,
Bro,
oh, God.
Well,
Yeah,
they
hell
were
yeah.
eating it. So when they were dancing around, the girl had some of the skin, and she was eating it. Or
No, she wasn't.
Do you
Yeah.
think those are kosher?
They're totally.
Hell yeah, they are. You know they are.
Yeah,
They're
100%.
pickled. My favorite line, my favorite line in the movie is, "What about the true God? He is dead. He had his chance." That was pretty cool.
And he
Yeah.
blew it. And
Yeah.
he blew it. What a great
My-
line.
One of my favorite
Yeah.
lines is when the cop was talking about fake gods as if his was any more real than
Yeah.
theirs. That was really funny to me.
Well, that's the
I had-
dichotomy of it. Like, whose God is greater? Whose God is real? What is real? At the end of the day, you can just
Yeah.
get thrown in a Wicker Man and burned to death. It
Here's
doesn't
a
matter.
hint. That's
He
a
was
trick question.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. This
Burn
movie,
like a witch.
this movie does make me put on my like edgy teenager atheist hat a little bit.
Also,
Well, it's
he,
supposed to.
also, he was
Yeah.
kind of a bitch when he went around like yelling at people. It shouldn't be called the Wicker Man. It should be called the Bicker Man. Thank you.
Ah,
Thank
Whoa!
you.
Nailed it.
it was a
Nailed
good
it.
podcast, guys. Have a great night.
Take care.
We're done. Camp Slash is done.
Raph, what else you got?
Yeah.
So yeah, I have to admit, one of my favorite scenes is when she's trying to seduce him through the wall.
Mine
And you
too.
said she had that body double, but I could not stand the singing, but it was a really good scene, and that's when I was thinking, oh, they're trying to fuck with him because he's been so good the whole time. And
I love it.
Yeah.
I
That was a great
honestly,
scene,
I thought that whole like her whole solo part was very reminiscent of
It was too long.
Nico. It was long, but it was really reminiscent of Nico from the Velvet Underground and Nico album. It was very
No,
like
don't know what that
breathy
is.
and I loved it.
How dare you bring culture to this podcast?
Sorry,
Damn, Alex.
excuse me. I thought we were discussing an art film.
No.
Yeah. How dare you bring culture and nuance
No,
to
I'm sorry.
us
Let me get back in.
scrubs?
The tits were nice, and the
Yeah,
they
well.
had Bush, and someone got murdered, and that was fun.
There you go. That's what we're talking about.
When
What
he
else you
puts
got?
when he's in the library reading the meaning of May Day Festival, that puts a whole new meaning to me in May Day, because you see that in our culture nowadays. And what they were fucking doing was crazy. And he's like, no, they can't do that nowadays. And they turned around and did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, they're gonna kill some virgin bitch. You better run and save her. And then he turned out to be
He
that
is the virgin bitch.
He is. He's
Oh.
the he
Well,
bitch.
hey, here, I'll put it down to brass taxes. Let me ask you this: without the Wicker Man, do we have a Burning Man festival?
No,
Oh,
Right.
100%
It was
not.
awesome.
There is so many similarities to the Burning Man, and that's why I kind of was looking up afterwards. I was like, man, which I would never want to go to, or would I? Somebody
No.
talk me into it. That's all I'm saying.
Gross.
No, we're totally going. All right.
All right, the last thing is when they were trying to put him to sleep, and there was a fucking burning
A
hand.
burning hand, yeah.
Bro, that was intense.
Premonition.
What,
man.
what did they think that was gonna do? I like how he just woke up and knocked it over too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Total
He was just
premonition.
like,
It was
get the
supposed,
shit
it
out of
was
here.
supposed to put him to sleep so he wouldn't mess with the festival, but I think they were just messing with him even more. I don't know what was going on.
I loved
That's what
that
it was.
this entire movie though boiled down to like it seemed like they were talking about him behind his back the whole time.
Oh, it's
You know
totally.
what I mean? Like
Dude, it's-
they're like, yeah, go over there, you fucking Christian loser. And
It's
then
a-
when he'd walk away, they'd be like, what a dork.
It's a group of cats playing with a mouse, is what it is. They're
Yeah,
letting them go, they're
exactly.
grabbing them up again. They're letting them go, grabbing them up again. It's so much fun to watch, but they're also doing that to the audience, like somebody said earlier. And so you don't
Yep.
exactly see the twist. That's why
Like a
this movie
yo-yo.
holds its prestige, because the twist actually fucking works. The only problem
did.
is the poster gives away the ending, and that kind of sucks. But whatever.
Well, I never
It's
saw
iconic.
it, so I'm glad I never saw the poster or anything, because I was surprised.
When you saw that Wicker Man, did it shock you a little bit? You were like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah,
it
I was
shocked
like,
See,
fucking Burning Man.
I was very familiar with this movie through like just horror history and
Osmosis, yeah.
watching a lot of horror content. So I think
Oh.
that may have also been part of the problem. Is like I knew the twist, I knew what was coming, I knew how it ended.
Hey, Duck. I gotta tell you, you are wrong. The original movie poster has nothing to do with the Wicker Man.
Right on, dude. I love it. The poster
Whoa.
I have does definitely show off some stuff.
That's why you see the. That's why you
That
see
was
the.
badass.
The original one is the sun god.
Yeah,
You see
I
the
like
sun
it.
god, which
I
was
wonder, though.
intentional so that you would not get that. I think that poster was definitely not the first run,
Yeah.
but the movie made what $60,000. So
Yeah.
I think towards the end, they're like, no, there really is a Wicker Man. Come on, come see it, please.
Check it out.
Doing whatever we can put on here to make you buy a ticket.
The sun god actually bookends this movie. It opens the movie and it closes. If you watch it till after the credits, it bookends it. So it's kind of like it's parable, it's story. And
Yeah.
does it accept the sacrifice whenever Lord Summerall is going, or when he's yelling at Lord Summerall and he's going, next year it's you, next year it's you. And he's like, no, this sacrifice will work. And he's very confident, but scared at the same time. You can see the look in his eyes like, holy shit, next year it will be me. It's almost like a politician, like they've run their course. And he's like, no, this sacrifice will work. And he believes it with all of his heart. But you can see that little tinge of fear in Christopher Lee's eyes. Like where you're like, holy shit, they will get me next year if this doesn't work. I loved it. I thought that was great.
Well,
I didn't
this
notice
is the,
that until.
This is the Wicker Tree. This is the sequel I was telling you about, the spiritual sequel. It also has the sun god visage on there, and it definitely answers kind of that question with the Lord Summerall character in
did
the
it work?
sequel.
So what
Well,
happened?
no. It's a different. Spoiler alert. In the second one, their version of Lord Summerall, who is actually played by Graham McTavish, who played the Saint of Killers on Preacher, he gets killed. He dies in the end of the movie. Now the quote unquote Christians don't, they don't come out any better. But at least in the second one, he dies. So at least they took something. You know what I mean? They took something from him.
I kinda
Yeah.
want to see that just to see it. Well, all right.
I'll watch it.
Well, let's get to recommend. So let's go down the line. Let's cut it in half. Raph, do you recommend the movie?
Bro, I do, but I don't. But I watch it. If you don't know anything about it, watch it. It'll catch you at the end.
I think that it's going to stick with you, Raph. You'll see. It'll come back to you, man. Miles, do you recommend it?
Dude, I fully prepared to come into this to say, hell no, just watch Midsummer instead. But genuinely, this conversation was good, man. Alex, awesome meeting you. You brought some really good points. Jay, you always make great points. Duck, you're here too. No, I'm just kidding. You
What
made
about-
some great. I'm just fucking with you. You made some great points as well, man. But like you guys, the conversation we just had like made me like rethink some of the movie, and is like, one, I should have watched it on drugs. Two, I think next time I watch it, I will have like a better just preparedness for what I'm getting myself into.
Absolutely. Alex,
So
how about
yes,
you?
watch it.
Do you recommend it?
Absolutely. I mean, between the acting, the music, the cinematography, the history behind the movie. I mean, the movie itself is historical for setting up an entire genre, or for at least mainstreaming an entire genre. Because folk horror was a thing before the Wicker Man, but the Wicker Man made folk horror popular, possible. And we wouldn't have Midsummer. We wouldn't have The Witch. We wouldn't have what was that really good Netflix one with I can't think of it right now, but we wouldn't have popular folk horror movies without The Wicker Man. And I absolutely recommend this movie. I recommend everyone owns this movie.
Yeah.
It's great.
You own a copy
I love
of it,
it.
right? That was your copy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I watched my Blu-ray copy.
Very nice. How about you, Jay? Do you recommend?
Of course. I mean, I picked it. I mean, it's just like I said. It's like Alex said. Like there were folk horror movies before, and there were folk horror movies afterwards. But whenever you talk about the greatest folk horror movies of all time, if you don't mention the Wicker Man, like in the conversation, then people think you're a total poser. And I would
absolutely
totally agree. And as far as Midsummer goes, I absolutely love Midsummer. I just felt Midsummer answered the question. Like, I think Midsummer was made by people like Raph and Miles. They're like, let's ramp this shit up, shall we? So like,
absolutely.
That's fair.
But you got it. You got what you wanted. It still does its thing, and it still managed at the end to be creepy because at the end of Midsummer, it ain't the main character burning. You know what I mean? Like but she still gets to see it. So no, I think Wicker Man, absolutely. Probably my top 10 favorite horror movies of all time. I'll put it there. No problem.
I got one confession to make. I've never seen Midsummer. I don't catch y'all's reference to this. I've never seen it.
I can almost guarantee I can almost guarantee everything you didn't like about this one. You'll be like, okay, this one did it right.
Midsummer
the
is
same
bomb.
person that does Hereditary.
Yes,
and,
Ari Aster.
Both movies super solid.
It's also an hour longer than this movie, but doesn't
Oh, God, yeah.
feel
Doesn't do it,
it
though,
doesn't
does it?
feel
Yeah,
like it's
that
an hour
Midsummer
longer than
for
this
me
movie.
feels like somebody saw the Nicolas Cage version of the Wicker Man and went, no, we need to pay homage to the original
Yeah,
and actually do it right, because there's so many similarities, but it's its own thing. Especially because somebody said earlier, this movie has drug references other than alcohol, not really, but Midsummer goes heavily into the drugs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it has all the paganism, it has all the ritual, it has everything. Midsummer is just a tight, amazing movie that holds almost the same atmosphere as this movie in a lot of ways, excluding the music. There's no music that I remember in Midsummer, but we will definitely get to watch the music at some point.
The music in Midsummer is really good. The opening song in particular is very intense. I remember that.
I just think he meant it's like people aren't busting into like random songs mid script.
That makes
Mary
the movie feel more
Poppins style.
natural. For sure. The random song numbers do make Wicker Man feel a little unnatural in moments.
But again, I do think after this conversation with you guys, like Ducky and Jay pointed out, it's like almost by design to make you feel like
right.
Well, they have their own culture, they have their own heritage, they have their own.
They're also
things, so
they're also very disconnected from like what you would call normal society.
Yeah. The fact
literally,
that
literally
the songs.
disconnected.
Yeah,
it's awesome. We'll get to Midsummer at some point. That is a promise, but we'll get there.
Hey everyone, it's just Duck jumping in here real quick to say thank you so much for checking out the podcast today. If you're enjoying it, head over to your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, or iTunes, and give We Are Podcast Network a like. And just so you know, the next section of the podcast will be clips from the movie, so you can find replays of the live video stream at twitch.tv/We Are Podcast Network and youtube.com/We Are Podcast Network. Once again, all links can be found in the description. Come check out our live stream every Monday at 8 p.m. And for a full list of future films, check out our social media. You can find us at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at /We Are Podcast. And with that, back to the Horrorcast.
All right, let's do some clips of this movie. So let's get going. Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you lost?
Hello, sir. Have you lost your bearings?
No, sir, I don't think so. This is Summer Isle, is it not?
Oh, I was going to mention this. This movie does a lot of hand cam too, where it goes around the characters. Like that's unique, and especially at the time to use that camera. It wasn't until John Carpenter did Halloween a couple years later that they used handy cam to such good use in the opening segment, where it's from the perspective of the child of Michael Myers. But this movie uses handy cam a lot. And I think that's pretty cool.
It is, sir.
Well, I'm right there. Now, would you send a dinghy, please?
Stop playing with your dinghy. Hairs don't have tea. I don't know what that means.
Do you,
It's a rabbit.
do you know Rowan?
Of course I do.
Oh, all the characters are named after plants too. I don't know if you guys caught that. Planets are foliage.
You do?
Of course I do, silly.
Do you know where she is now?
The weird
Yeah,
pagan
it's
religion, I
shows
guess.
that they stay there all day.
Dude, I
It'd be
kind of want to
okay.
join it. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, like
Coming back
they
for tea.
for sure had a cool way of life that I don't necessarily disagree with.
Up until the sacrificing part, I'm good.
Yeah.
I
Don't be a
I
bitch.
do have the urge to fuck in a park sometimes.
Yeah, dude, 100%.
You silly.
One fab landlord. I'm sorry, when this guy turned around and he was like, "Hey," I was just like, "This guy's fabulous." as shit.
Well, funny story. I mean, I got something for everything. So this actor, I think his last name's Camp. This guy is very famous for having an affair with David Bowie. He was very openly gay throughout his entire life, obviously, and he just and he was a choreographer. He was a choreographer. He was a dancer. This is another actor who's extremely successful and very established, and yet another actor they got in the movie.
And also 4 years older than his daughter in this movie. So that's cool. Look at this though. He's just, you can tell this dude is flamboyant as shit.
I'm Alden McGregor. And you must
Oh, his eye fucking him several times.
Yeah, dude, he's
Hell
getting
yeah, he is.
My daughter Willow will show you to your room. Willow,
He's looking at him like everybody looks at Willow.
Yeah, she's definitely not wearing a bra, 100%.
Or any scene. They don't have bras back then.
That's what signifies a cool girl. She's cool as shit.
This is my daughter, Willow.
Yeah, it's not. The Landlord's Daughter, the song.
My favorite part.
This made me think of whose line is it anyways.
ID, the Irish drinking song, yeah.
The girl.
I'd like my
Break it down.
It won't be long, Sergeant. Oh, you don't want to let them worry you. Why don't you have a wee drink?
Orgy.
He's such a buzzkill.
Orgy.
And I'm like, maybe this movie's not so bad after all.
Yeah.
Maybe
It's
I'll
right
give
there
it-
out in the field, man. Just getting it, man.
My biggest problem with this was there weren't more of these in the movie.
Yeah, 100%.
McGregor. I have the
See, for me, it was the lighting.
Yeah, I didn't like the lighting.
Come up, Ashby.
I thought it
I
was
like
really
this
creative.
idea that she's the town whore. He brings the boys to her to kind of get them, going. You know what I mean? Like they gotta get the first round.
It's also another version of sacrifice too. It's he's
Right.
sacrificing virginity to her.
Yeah, and he says that he goes, "You're Aphrodite."
Yeah.
like-
Well, he also says like the bigger sacrifice or the better sacrifice is tomorrow or whatever. it's
Right,
about.
right.
Yeah.
he says something like "Save your energy." He says it here.
I'd sacrifice a couple babies on her.
No,
yeah.
good
Another
stuff.
sacrifice for Aphrodite, Willow.
You flattered me, Your Lordship.
Notice her mouth wasn't moving.
Surely you
Well,
Yeah,
she
I
was saving.
noticed
She was
that.
saving
I
it. She's
noticed
gonna need that in a minute.
Yeah, 100%. The
The
ADR in
ADR
this
in
is
this-
terrible. It's terrible.
So awful.
There were lines where the fucking cop was ADR'd. I don't even think it was him
Yeah.
speaking. It was
It
horrible.
was
to Aphrodite.
I make no such distinction. You are the goddess of love in human form, and I am merely your humble actor.
I love hearing his voice though.
It's Christopher
Yeah.
Lee,
Oh, yeah.
motherfucker. Yeah.
I love the
Go ahead.
I love the soliloquy he did right after this, where it's like he does it right over the two snails fucking.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
Enjoy
Yep.
yourself and him.
Penis song.
Hell yeah. I need one of these.
They got Oliver Platt to do the song.
So I noticed one thing about this. The little girls are inside learning while the little boys are outside like playing with a phallic symbol. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah. It would fit better with the Nicolas Cage movie with the feminism and stuff.
And of that feather was a
You didn't have to clip that.
No, it needed to be clipped. The Beetlebug.
Take it down.
There he is. That girl is 21 years old. Just so
Yeah,
everyone
she
knows.
looks it.
What?
Yeah, she doesn't
Yep.
look like a kid.
Yeah, so the actors are supposed to be between 13 to 14 in this scene, but she was 21.
Yeah.
So none of the girls running around the Stonehenge were kids, right?
No, I don't. think
Okay,
so.
good.
Why
God,
were you jerking off during that scene? Were you-
Just asking for David.
No, Dave would be fine with it.
She's the special girl that got held back for sure.
100%.
And why in God's name did you do it, girl?
She looks like she's gonna grow up to be the short bus driver, though.
Yeah, for
100%.
sure. Like she's smart enough to drive for sure.
Liars. I think I spelled that wrong.
You're liars. You are despicable little
Liars.
liars. Rowan Morrison is a schoolmate of yours.
You're
isn't
the
she?
biggest liar of them all.
That is her desk, isn't it? Well, isn't
I
it?
think you ought to know.
And you are the biggest liar of all.
I like how he thinks that calling people liars is like the greatest burn ever.
Jay, it's one of the
Yeah.
7 deadly sins, maybe. I don't know.
Back
but
in the
it seems like
day.
it should be.
100%.
I fucked them up. I called them liars. They knew who was talking.
They got
their
what was
comeuppance.
coming to them.
100%.
They didn't really respect me, but once I said you're a liar, they're like, okay, this guy means business.
He's gonna go back to confession and apologize and ask for like resolution for using such hateful language. But other than that, you know.
Death.
Here, we do not.
So that woman was married to Sean Connery. Oh,
Yeah, she could
Use
get
the
it.
word.
I'm Sean
Hell
Connery.
Dude, hey, think about this, guys. What if Sean Connery had played Lord Summerisle?
I would have loved this fucking movie.
That would have been
Yeah.
weird.
Or Didius, definitely you in the form. I get
It would have somehow. It would have been at least 12% sexier somehow.
We believe
Oh, fuck.
that when the human life is over, the soul returns to trees, to air,
Yep.
to fire,
Yep.
to water, to animals.
She's not wrong.
So that Rowan
Preach
Morrison
it.
has simply returned to the life forces in another form.
Not a single person has a Scottish accent in this fucking movie. Did you notice that? And it takes place in Scotland. Frog.
No, it
what the
takes
fuck
place
was it,
in
Irish?
Summerisle.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. Frog.
Silly girl you are to make all this fuss. In he goes.
Oh.
Did she get a frog in there? Fuck that.
That's method
She's like-
acting right there. That girl's
Yeah,
legit
it
about
is.
to vomit.
It is.
Tasted about it. Never mind. It's
Fuck
all over
that.
now. He's got your horrid old sore throat now, hasn't he? Poor
I
creature?
didn't clip it when he goes, "You're all crazy." Lord Summerisle, I love him.
Good afternoon,
Fucking
Sergeant.
great.
He was just
Hello.
chilling.
I've been here the whole
People
time.
refreshes you.
Doesn't the guy who plays Barad, I can't think of, Sacha Baron Cohen, looks just like a young Christopher Lee.
Yes,
It's
he
crazy.
Yeah, he
It
does.
does.
No, sir.
Yeah.
It does not refresh me. Oh, I'm sorry. One should always be.
I
open
am
to
not
the
having a good time.
There it is.
Those children out there,
I've come here to be a
they're
plumber.
jumping through the flames in the hope that the god of fire will make them fruitful. Really, you can hardly blame them. After all, what girl would not prefer the child of a god to that of some acne-scarred artisan? And you encourage them in this? Actively. It's most important that each new generation born on Summerisle be made aware that here the old gods aren't dead.
And what of the true God, to whose glory churches and monasteries have been built on these islands for generations past? Now, sir, what of him?
He's dead. He had his chance.
That was
and
crazy.
in modern parlance, blew it.
He blew it. I love that line. That is so
That was
Fucking
my
great
favorite.
line.
so fucking good.
Fucking
That's,
great.
that's the line of the
Battery
movie.
drop.
It's so good.
That's
Wake up.
That just means he just means business.
All right, wake up. Ready for it? Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
I don't even care. I'll show you.
We're off Twitch.
Dude, it's not even a big deal. I love how he's got that horniness of a teenager right now, where he's like, I
Oh,
want
yeah,
to,
yeah. He's,
but I can't.
he's ready to
I
stick
don't
his
know,
dick
dude.
in
I
that
would
wall.
argue that a 30-year-old virgin is hornier than a teenager. And
Agreed
he's
with you.
maybe
You are
younger
100%
than
right.
that.
You 100% right.
Yeah.
I would have
He's
gave
just-
in.
He's just
I
jizzing
also-
all over himself.
I also realized that I am the same age as Sergeant Howie.
Yeah,
and
but
I'm like,
you're gonna lose your virginity any day now, dude. It's bound to happen.
promise? You promise?
Just don't go into the islands until we get you covered.
If you, yeah,
You
yeah.
got it.
Yeah, you ain't going up.
Miles
in
a
that
promise. Miles said I am supposed to.
boat. You're not going up in that Wicker Man. We got your back. Weird alligator thing.
The dragon.
Yeah, it's a dragon. I don't know what the fuck it was. It's cracking me
That
up,
scene
though.
with the swords, I will say that was cool, just because like the tension in that scene was so just
We'll get
amazing.
there. Yeah, totally clip that. I like the. She wants him. This was
The
so
dragon
weird.
kept snapping during that.
This was so weird. Why was she why were all these women seduced by
That's
this
what
virgin?
they're trying to
They're-
do. It.
He's a pure
They're-
sacrifice, dude.
Dude, they were trying. First of all, women love virgins, so like
Really?
they're trying to. You know what I mean? Like the whole joke that they're trying to deflower him.
Yeah.
They
But
wanted
I
to
think
be the
also,
first.
man, I always thought like that's another thing is they gave him so many chances
Get
to
out of it.
not to get out of it, man, and he refused. You know what? You know what he was, Doc? He was pedantic. He insisted upon himself.
100%
I'm,
pedantic.
I'm thinking he was just gay.
It might have been that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no dudes throwing themselves at him. That's true.
That
Man.
landlord had thrown himself at him, it would have been over.
Get that out of here. Count Dooku and drag. I love this shit, dude.
He's even swinging his lightsaber around if you look closely.
This was really long.
He looks an awful lot like Yoko Ono for some reason.
100%.
Yeah, he does.
I was thinking The Ring, right there. But
Samara.
Both horrific people.
We need to watch The Ring, dude. We need to get that shit done.
I like
the American version.
Yeah.
I agree with the American version.
This is a cool shot. 100%. Check this shit out. They were doing well with cinematography.
Let's do that and all the terrible sequels.
Excellent use of lens flare. Excellent use of shadows. I like it. I dig it. 100%. I'm there. Chop, chop, chop.
Yeah, this.
That's really cool.
yeah, I thought they killed the little girl.
I did think it'd have been cool if they just like chopped the first dude's head off, just like done. That's the twist that we didn't see coming.
It's almost like their sun god showed mercy. It was all game because they were concerned. They thought that shit was real. The ocean gets drunk.
With her.
This reminds me of Deathbed for some reason.
I thought of Deathbed a couple times during this movie, and it was just the avant-garde style of it all. But yeah,
fucking love Deathbed, dude. That was such a good pick.
The rich and diverse fruits of your kingdom.
Hey, you know it's Budweiser because they got the Budweiser horses.
The Clydesdales.
Nice, good pull.
Zonk.
What's the matter, Mr. McGregor?
I hated the scene running through the cave.
I didn't clip it,
fucking
don't worry.
porno music.
Yeah.
I love the music. I thought it was great.
Punch. One of the great fool victims.
She is beautiful. My God.
Bro, I was
a
just
lot
saying.
of blondes.
Dude, now she looks like the girl from 237 in The Shining, though.
Yep. I'm down with that too.
Because she's dead.
And anointed as a king.
Check out that mini skirt back there. That was a really mini skirt for back in the day.
No doubt. The Wicker Man.
No matter what you do,
I was like, no shit, bro.
can't change the fact
They're gonna save him.
that I believe in the life.
Did you think somebody was gonna come save him? Like literally?
Yeah, bro. I didn't look at the time. I was like, somebody has to.
So
come get him.
and the studio wanted them to change the ending that the rain happened. It came through and it saved his life, and they refused to do it as filmmakers. They're like, nope, this is the movie we wanted to make.
Well, that would have made the crops come back.
I would have loved to see like an actual sun god come down and just like bless the land and fruit starts growing.
Boom.
Eternal.
All worth it.
Promised to us by our Lord Jesus Christ. I believe in the life eternal.
That is good.
Look at all
For
these
believing
blondes.
What you do, we confer upon you a rare gift.
His hair is
today,
crazy. I love it.
Yeah.
A martyr's death. It is time to keep your appointment.
He looks like the sun god himself, right?
Yeah, that was the meaning.
Yeah.
Of his hair
With the yellow and the wild hair.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
It's a good catch.
Oh God! Oh Jesus Christ!
It's Godzilla!
Yeah, dude, you're gonna need him if you're gonna get out of this one.
Christ!
That he does so good. He's such a
Yeah,
good
this
actor.
was really good.
The passion here is incredible.
I was gonna say I've seen the clip of the Wicker Man, the new one, and you know it's obviously Nicolas Cage being over dramatic, but this is what I was expecting from this, and it was just like perfect. I was like, oh damn, this is a really great ending.
Be gone! No, Christ!
Burn, baby, burn.
I'm like, save him, somebody save him. I really was, bro.
Nah, I'm gonna burn.
This is what makes this really good.
Raph, I've seen this movie 25 times, and probably, and I still think, okay, this time he's gonna get out of it.
I'm watching the director's cut finally. It's gonna happen.
Which there is a director's cut. I don't know if anyone watched it. There are added scenes to that, of course.
I think anything longer than an hour and a half for this movie is painful.
There's a lot of scenes that take place before he gets to the island.
There's a huge dance number they cut though in the third
Fuck all
act. And
that.
it would have really made it a lot more of a flow.
The hour and a half is perfect.
Perfect. Actually perfect.
Hear them piggies squealing.
The animals. And you can see them burning when they pull away.
So according to the actress who played the titties with the big ass, I can't think of her name, the blonde girl, she said that they did burn the animals, but according to the director, they pulled all the animals out before they burned the effigy. So
I somehow believe her more than him.
Yeah, how is that? It is true.
Yeah. And look, you can see the stuntman still in there.
You're right. You're right. I love that shot. Like that had to have been an impossible shot to get, and then it sits on that for a long time. All right, guys, that was the Wicker Man. Fucking awesome movie. Let's do recommendations. The first recommendation will be the Wicker Man. Who would have saw that coming? Yeah, we're talking about the remake because regardless of the fact that it is bad, it is highly watchable. And it's a good bad movie. You know what I mean? It's one of those movies that they meant to do well by it, but they did not do well by it. And Nicolas Cage is over the top Nicolas Caging the whole way through this movie. I enjoy it. I totally want to watch it for the cast at some point. The fact that they use twins as a story element, the fact that they send out somebody to get impregnated and then they use them as the bounty every year, the fact that they had that tag at the end with James Franco, I just think this movie works, and it's also really bad. I love it. So it's really cool. The second recommendation, we kept saying it over and over again, Midsommar. If you haven't seen it, Raph, you need to see it, dude. It's so fucking good. It is, as Javi says, a day ruiner. I guess it could be, but as a movie, it's so good. Good, Alex. What do you think?
You know what's weird is Midsummer, when it's over, it actually makes me happy. Watching Midsummer is like having a good cry, and then you feel better afterwards.
Oh, wow.
I think that is definitely the. I think that's the message. Like, yeah, because she starts out so miserable.
Yeah,
I love how she's such a shitty girlfriend at the end of it, though. She's just looking at him like, with that.
No, I love that. I love that.
No, dude, she was just giving comeuppance to a really shitty boyfriend.
Yeah, he wasn't a good guy, but
I read something somewhere that said Midsummer is part of a genre of films called Good for Her, and I agree with that.
I love that. I love that.
That was a good one.
All right, guys, got on the line. What do we got?
Oh, go ahead.
I want to recommend Con Air.
Yes, you're right.
Great movie.
It's a great fucking movie. Dave Chappelle plays 8-Ball. It's wonderful. Is that really your recommendations, Ralph?
Yeah, bro. I really love that.
Con Air it is. I love Con Air too. Miles, Jay, Alex, you got a recommendation?
Sure, I got a recommendation.
What you got?
Anyone want to go first?
No, you go first. You're talking.
I want to recommend Santa Sangre.
What the fuck is that?
It's a Spanish horror movie from 19. I can't remember. It's 30, 40 years ago by Alejandro Jodorowsky. It's basically the Mexican version of Psycho. It's awesome. I love it.
Nice.
That sounds good.
Very nice.
So the 90s were not 40 years ago.
No. Miles,
whenever Alex said the good for her genre, it made me think of one. I'm gonna throw out "I Spit on Your Grave," which is a insanely over the top violent. But man, if there's a maybe lead or I don't know, the pioneer of the good for her movement, I might say could be that film.
Yeah, I like the good for her movies. Jay, what you got?
Well, I was thinking a lot about this, and you mentioned specifically. Movies that the horror takes place during the day to some extent. I know we did Children of the Corn last year for Thanksgiving, but another movie that a lot of people think kind of inspired Children of the Corn was a TV movie with Betty Davis. You can actually watch. It is a two-parter, and it's called The Dark Secret of Harvest Home. And it has a lot to do with female energy, and I'll leave it at that. But it's a fun little watch. And it's definitely more fast-paced than The Wicker Man, but it's definitely kind of in this whole thing.
What was that called?
It's another good. The Dark Secret of Harvest Home.
Very nice. Very nice. All right, guys. Well, let's tell them where they can find you on the internet. Raph, where can they find you?
RFLSON on YouTube.
Very nice. Miles, where can they find you?
I'm Mr. Most Days Off pretty much everywhere, and you can check out my Simpsons podcast at Best Darn Diddley.
Alex, do you have a where they can find you on the internet? You were doing reviews there for a while.
Yeah. I haven't touched my review page in 2 months. At Action Bastard Reviews, if you want to look me up, I'll probably post something eventually.
Fuck yeah. And you can find us at wearepodcast.podbean.com, where you can find all the podcasts. And of course, you can find us every Monday for Camp/Horrorcast. We talk horror movies from the past live at 8 p.m. Central. Next week, I think, will be The Black Phone because it just came out. I'm super interested in talking about it with all y'all. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to slot that in there. With that said, thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you for being here. Keep horror in your heart. I have to pee super bad, so I'm rushing through this as quick as possible. Thank you so much for watching.
Bye.
Have a good one. And let's cut the feed so I can run to the bathroom.
Run
into the bathroom. I'll be back.
And there it is. Thank you again so much for checking out the podcast today. If you enjoyed it, head over to your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, and iTunes, and give We Are Podcast Network a like. And since this is Camp/Horrorcast, if you want to check us out live, we will be on Twitch and YouTube every Monday at 8 p.m. Central Time. You can find us at twitch.tv/We Are Podcast Network and youtube.com/We Are Podcast Network. And if you've enjoyed this podcast, you're going to love the other podcasts here on the We Are Podcast Network. We have We Are Air, where we talk movies, entertainment, whatever the fuck we want to talk about. That's me, that's Jake, and that's Javi. We're breaking down that pop culture, and we're having so much fun. And don't forget to check out We Are Bagu, a video game podcast, where we talk Atari to Steam and everything in between. That's me and Dr. Ethan Eastwood breaking down all that video game lore, heroes, Gyros, a Dungeons and Distractions side quest. Me and the boys were playing some D&D. You can start that one from Season 1, Episode 1. It's a blast the whole way through. And I Hate Being Sober. Personal stories from epic people. I sit down with some of my favorite people of all time. We talk about their trials, their tribulations, and their journey this far. Also, check the links in the description for our social media. You can find us at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at /We Are Podcast Network. With that said, hopefully we see you in the live stream.